really is a time when all of us have got to start talking louder than ever. The rapid speed of, if you like, globalization, the world government, world army, world central bank, world currency, world microchip population.
Don't be afraid.
No, be afraid. Be very afraid.
The important thing is to know where they want to take us.
They had to destroy the dollar, destroy the pound, destroy the old order while they've been building the new world order, this technological enslavement system.
The FBI is taking on a $1 billion project to gather fingerprints, palm patterns, even digital pictures of faces. Eventually, it could expand to include iris patterns, face shape patterns, scars, even information about how you walk and talk. It's called biometrics.
We want your soul. You can't handle the truth.
Time to Howl at the Wolves. It's Saturday night, April 4, 2026 or 2026. What did they say at the Bilderberg Group?
As you'd like it.
Lieutenant Keith Temple in the studio with me. How are you?
Awesome. Great to be here tonight. Wouldn't be anywhere else on a Saturday evening.
Co-host Dr. Brooks Agnew. You can find him at brooksagnew.com. How are you?
Doing fantastic. It's been a wonderful Saturday here in North Carolina.
Deep inside of Black Sheep Studios here in Jacksonville and somewhere in North Carolina, we come to you. Brooks, we got a lot to talk about. I want Keith to go ahead and lead us in prayer. Keith and I went to church, early Easter service this afternoon into the evening. That was cool.
I was really glad to do that. Thank you, Chad, for going with me. I thought it was a really good service. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for being our Lord and Savior. This is a special time of our calendar year where we reflect on your death and resurrection for us. Be with us. Be with this show. Be with the listeners. Be with this nation. Just guide the conversation. Let it be what you would like to advance your kingdom and what you would like for us as your citizens of your kingdom here on earth. Thank you again, and amen.
Amen. Before airtime, Brooks, I mentioned that producer Tony not only has this show on YouTube and Rumble, but tonight on X. That's too cool.
Too cool for school.
You know?
We like it. X is a good place to get exposure. It's where Dan Bongino got his start.
Ooh, I like Dan. I think I like Dan more on his podcast than I do as his assistant director.
Who doesn't?
Hey, I think I love it when people take risk, and he felt that a door opened and he walked through it and he did the best he could. And then he decided, you know what, that there's too many obstacles. And Brooks, you called it.
Handcuffed is what he was.
Yeah, handcuffed. And he was very upset, right? And Brooks called it 2 months ago that, Pam Bondi was going to be let go. And sure enough, here it is. This week, Pam was let go.
I'm gonna help. I'm not pinning you just yet tonight.
Just yet. I was going to say that's an awful early pinning in the show.
It was a drive-by pinning, Brooks. But I'm not banging on what you just said right there, Keith, because you're correct. But really, the fact is, Brooks, you said Pam Bondi at least 5 months ago. You're like, she's got to go. I mean, you were early in, and I was like, the fuck is Brooks talking about? But he was totally right. So
Yeah, I don't know if somebody got to her or bribed her, or if she's just too ingrained in the old Bush network where she came from, that she just could not make a serious prosecution above a certain level.
Yes. I mean, that's perfect. I agree. That the idea is that there was exposure and exposure of corruption at higher and higher levels. And for whatever reason, she just seemed unable to bring those to that. And, you know, I don't know what they are, but the people are looking for some accountability. It's great to stop the fraud, but there also had this, as they say, the second shoe or the second boot has to drop with the accountability.
Yeah, I think accountability is a way overused word these days. You know, these people committed murder and rape, pedophilia. They stole, they lied, they cheated. They defrauded the American people on so many levels that accountability just doesn't seem to cut it. What we want is justice.
I like that.
Yeah, nicely said. And that's what everyone's been wanting. And it does create problems here and there when, you know, different signals are being followed.
Well, just think about what Hillary said. I mean, she's very candid about it. She said, if I go down, I'm taking down half of this city in Washington, D.C. And the issue is, I think a lot of people are saying, okay, well, if that needs to be done, let's do that rather than just keep the corruption on either side of the aisle going.
Very, very true. Very, very true. But once again, who's the lone gunman out there, the gunslinger, wowing people? Or 5 months ago, at least. No, Pam's got to go.
That's our Brooks.
Yeah, that is. I did put on the Super Friends chat, Brooks. I know Ian Trottier did chime in after I put it out there, but it looks like it's going to be now. It's inside baseball, kind of, and stuff, and maybe my inside baseball is completely wrong, but it looks like POTUS is going to pick. It's going to be Lee Zeldin or Ken Paxton. So what are you thinking there?
I'm not thinking Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin is a great bureaucrat. He did wonderful things at the EPA. He knows how to get around in Washington. That's true, but I don't think he has the killer instinct that we need. I think Ken Paxton does. I think Ken Paxton would make a great attorney general. He's got a great reputation, but I really think we need him in the Senate. So yeah. I think it's probably going to be somebody like Jeanine Pirro, or it's going to be Sidney Powell, or it's going to be it may even be the guy that's the acting attorney general. However, I will say this, and several statements have already been made, that this guy has been actually running the DOJ for most of Pam Bondi's tenure. And if that's the case, we don't want him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally with you on Sidney, and who did you mention the first?
Jeanine Pirro.
Yeah.
In D.C. now, she was.
Yeah, she is a U.S. attorney now, but she's been a judge. She's been a prosecutor. She's hard-nosed. She knows Washington inside and out. She knows all these people, and she's fearless.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And she's very media savvy.
Yeah.
Well, with Fox News forever.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, she would be a Spitfire, I'm sure. So.
And I think we had this discussion a month or so ago on the show. We kind of ruled out Trey Gowdy and Ted Cruz.
Oh, Trey Gowdy's a barking poodle.
Right, and Ted Cruz as well. So that's
Ted Cruz. No, definitely not.
I like Sydney. I think Sydney's very, very
well,
good.
I've met her. I spent a couple of days with her down in Dallas. Very sharp, very intelligent, funny, and believe me, she knows what has been done. Her main focus back then was the stolen election of 2020. She had all the receipts.
Yep.
But this goes way beyond that. We almost really need 4 attorneys general. We need one for the fraud. It's so immense. It would
Yes.
take months for somebody to come up to speed on it. We need one for the election infrastructure attack, which is treason. That takes a very special prosecution, and it takes very special sentencing and maybe military tribunals. Then it's going to take one for, the coup that Obama and Hillary and Victoria
The
Nuland,
Brennan, Clapper, all of those.
right? All those guys. One for the coup that was perpetrated in 2016. And then you need one for just the regular prosecutions. Because that I will give credit to Pam Bondi for. Now, of course, they give her credit for the murder rate being lower than it's been since 1900, but that is not her credit. That credit goes to President Trump and the National Guard.
Right. Going city to city, as we kind of called it.
There are really only five cities that jack our murder rate up as high as it is. And he has gone into 4 of those cities, and that's why the murder rate's lower than it is. Has ever been.
F in Chicago, man. What a beautiful city if it's not
Oh, it's
all
Philadelphia,
messed up.
Philadelphia, Chicago, New Orleans.
Louisiana, D.C.,
Right. D.C. Yep.
and the only city he really couldn't go into to make a difference was Chicago.
Yep.
And the murder rate's just as high there as it's ever been.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's never any shootings there, Brooks.
100 a weekend, right? I mean,
Yeah, 75 to 100 every single week.
yeah,
Right?
it's crazy.
I love it. There is, I forget what site you can go to, but our friend, one day we'll have Cody on the show, but Donut Operator, if you ever find him on YouTube, he's kind of big on YouTube, Donut Operator, but he brings this, he's a former law enforcement officer. He brings this, these statistics up, and it's, Chicago, like you can bring it up for any city, right? But for Chicago, I mean, it's beyond disproportionate. The amount of shootings in Chicago just from this year to the beginning of this year to now, it's people shooting, it's citizens shooting each other. How many law enforcement officers shooting citizens? It's in the teens. It's crazy. I mean, that's a good thing, kind of, I guess.
Well, you figure eventually all the bad guys will kill each other off, but it doesn't seem to be happening. Like the teenage son of the rapper who got killed while he was in his bed? People drove by and shot the house full of holes and killed the son. I don't know, maybe the rapper pissed somebody off, but killed the son while he was in bed.
Please tell me he was a good rapper. Rapping's went to the wayside of country music and rock. There's good rock and there's shitty rock. And there's good rap and there's holy shit, horrible rap. Anyway, yeah, I don't know which rapper we're talking about, Brooks, but it was.
I don't know what his name is. He was a local star.
But that's a sad state of affairs. Your son gets killed because effing drive-by pennies, Brooks.
So there have been several other rumors. Trump gave Iran 48 hours to open up the Straits of Hormuz, or else all hell was going to break loose. And so now social media is blown up with all kinds of rumors that there are a bunch of generals that are refusing Trump's orders to invade Iran. That is absolutely patently false. That has not happened. There's only been one general that's been released, and that was after a long career. And it had to do with a personnel reason. Hegseth wanted a few people not promoted, and this guy wanted to promote them anyway. And so Hegseth relieved him of duty. But that was about it.
Boy, mainstream media, they sure can get into that misinformation, can't they?
It's crazy. It isn't just misinformation, it's out and out lies. And fortunately, we have, people like me and others who jump on top of these stories about as fast as they pop up and say, that's a lie, that's not true, that didn't happen. And then the story dies down. But the thing is, it gets 2,000-3,000 likes and shares and all that, but those are all bots. All those are bots. It's just AI bots. They're not human beings.
Well, reminds me of the old saying, where do you get your reputation back? They're trying to control the news cycle. And they know the news cycle has, 24, 36 hours or whatever, a story has.
If that.
Right? And so the idea is they got to put something out. Doesn't matter if it's factual or not. And then it creates this buzz and this opinion, all this, I'd say, water cooler discussion that's all, like you say, based off of something that's completely false.
Well, it used to be that they just did it to sell, sell papers or get credit for the clicks or the views or whatever. But now it appears as though they're doing it to actually fight a war, an information war. And what they want to do is win through this lying, because they have an audience that's never going to listen to this program. They have an audience that's never going to listen to Fox News or any conservative outlet. They're only going to listen to those ringing, tinkling bells that flatter them and tell them that gay is okay, and having an attraction to a kid is perfectly normal, and
Bestiality rocks.
Yeah, bestiality rocks and all that. Those are the only people that are going to hear it, and they just slurp it up.
Well, and they're very open with calling out what they call, dog whistles for white supremacist, key terms, to do that. But they do exactly the same thing, right? With their audience. There's certain things that they can say, or misrepresent, that they know is going to trigger a response from 20 to 30% of the country.
Well, and they do it to pull that attention away from the things that really matter. Like, do you remember the movie
Damn straight.
Behind Enemy Lines? Had Owen Wilson and Gene Hackman, and
Yeah.
Owen Wilson plays a pilot, and he and his navigator are shot down over Kosovo because they filmed the wrong thing. The navigator dies, Owen Wilson lives, and he evades capture till the very end, and Gene Hackman's forces come in and rescue him. We have a real life situation like that right now, only it's the other way around. The pilot was rescued. The navigator is at large in Iran. And it's amazing to watch what is happening, because the Iranian citizens are coming out and jamming the streets so that the IRGC cannot hunt this guy down. They're trying to get this navigator rescued. Helicopters have already been fired on. They have not been successful in getting him out, but I believe this guy is an absolute expert at evasion. And I think they're going to get him out. I think the people of Iran are going to help that.
I hope you're completely right. And one thing you do is you do not doubt Dr. Brooks.
Yeah, and there are things that are happening over there that a lot of people don't listen to, and they don't connect the dots. That's what we try to do in this program, is we connect the dots for people so they can, that's what that means, that's what that means, and then they link together, and you can see the planning and you can see the intention. And right now, the main goal is to open up the Strait of Hormuz. If we can open the Strait of Hormuz for regular traffic, and it's pretty close to it now, but if we can open up for regular traffic, the IRGC loses their lever.
Yes.
But even if we go in and we secure the straits with expeditionary forces and Marines, with anti-drone equipment, and we're able to secure shipping up and down the strait. There will not be a day pass, I'm going to predict, for the next 2 weeks that they don't drop missiles and rockets in the UAE and Israel. By the way, the UAE has taken way more hits than Israel has, which is kind of crazy. I mean, they're all Arabs, right? But
Yeah.
more hits, like over 450 missiles. Crazy how many have been fired at the UAE. And they're like, hey, we never bothered anybody. We didn't attack anybody. It's all right. We didn't do nothing. But they're just getting hammered by Iran.
Yeah, well, there's no love there, no love lost there. Brooks, I think there's a bigger overarching issue that Trump in this issue about talking about the support or lack of support from NATO and or other countries. We get what less than 5% of our oil and crude issues through that strait, and yet it seems that the international community wants us to provide 80 to 90%. And, and they could take the position, well, you started this issue, blah, 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 things were fine. Well, no, things were not fine before. We took action when it was presented to us to be able to take action. And we're trying, you need to support us, right, in keeping this open because it's you who purchase and utilize this energy for yourselves. And I love it. I mean, Trump is playing, and he's saying, hey, listen, you got to step up, or get out of the way. I mean, who was the General Patton said, you need to lead or get out of the way, right? And so
lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Right.
Well, and it's funny that you say that because I've been saying for a long time that the price of oil is a weapon. If it gets too cheap, then Russia gets nervous because their revenues drop and they get squirrely because they don't have the cash flows. And China gets more aggressive because they can now fuel their war machine.
Right.
If oil gets too expensive, China has to hunker down. China has to look for sources, discount sources or just regular sources. They got to run that country. And they don't care about solar power or wind power. If it's not coal-fired or nuclear powered or gas fired, they don't have it in China. But the Russians do wonderfully when the price of oil is jacked because over 60% of their GDP comes from oil. So we want to keep oil somewhere between, I would say, $55 and $65 a barrel. That's kind of the sweet spot,
right,
where China's not advantaging and Russia's not suffering, or the other way around. But it is really about supply and demand in this country. And I will tell you, having been in the car business most of my life, either on the manufacturing side or the design side, gas usage in the United States has been flat for 20 years, and it's estimated to be flat for the next 20 years. There's no spike. Like, even if we have a high driving summer, we have a low driving winter, it all evens out. We have more than enough oil to run our machines in this country. We don't need any foreign oil. In fact, we could sell oil and natural gas to other countries and still have enough for ourselves. So I've always asked the question, why does the global price of oil affect our price of oil? I don't get it.
Because they can. But what you bring up, when I think of Trump's first term, I mean, his statement, I mean, in his campaign was drill, 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 baby, drill. And he was very much on the issue of that this is a national security issue of our energy independence. And you're right, he changed us from an energy, consuming country to technically, much like Russia, being a part of OPEC, oil producing, exporting countries. And how right that was of him, in his first term.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, one thing we know about in the oil business, the oil is where you find it. Okay. There's no like place where oil is. They explore for oil, they find it, they drill for it, they go through all the expense of producing it, piping it, and getting it to the refineries. After that happens, oftentimes what happens is the federal government steps in, either with the EPA or with the USDA or some other three-letter agency, and they cordon off that land and they say, you can't produce oil out of this area. So when they say you can't drill on federal lands, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. There's no federal lands out there that have oil on them. There are no federal lands out there like that because the oil isn't there until you drill for it.
Nice.
So the private industry invests the money to drill for this oil, and our agency government nationalizes that oil. That's why Obama and Biden were able to choke off the petroleum industry in this country.
Yes.
And what Trump did is he just erased those requirements so that private industry could go back to exploring and drilling wherever it needs to be done, except, of course, national parks.
Well, and then it's also the transportation of the pipelines of these issues that they've used, to, claim environmental issues. And I remember looking at it.
And the refineries.
Right, and the refineries, right?
Yeah.
They were saying, oh man, you're going to harm the caribou, right, by putting in this pipeline. And after the pipeline was put in, they found that it actually helped the caribou because it provided a shelter for mothers and young caribou, to huddle up close to that. And it was environmentally, climate-wise.
That was beneficial.
Beneficial to
the
them
trade,
for their,
right?
exactly. It's so it's crazy.
Tillman's where I'm getting the duck breast and I'm getting the duck breast from, Keith. Mm-hmm. Tillman's in Ponte Vedra.
Yes.
They have caribou too.
Caribou.
Yeah,
Ooh, well, I've never
We can do
heard
caribou.
of
Wow.
caribou.
Yeah.
But let's do duck, and let's do lamb, and
Okay.
then let's put caribou on it. Brooks, I'm going to ask you. You're the most interesting man in the world. What about
I just looked Brooks Agnew up. He is.
He is, absolutely. What about ostrich or emu?
Haven't had either one.
Okay. I've heard that emu is a pretty good meat.
As an exotic meat eater that I am, I have not had emu or ostrich, but just
That might be something interesting to try.
I heard-
Give
hey.
you a little homework. Let you get on that internet and find an ostrich or an emu recipe. Yeah. I like this.
first night listeners on X are like, those fucking meat eaters. They're
Carnivores.
Those carnivores. Oh shit. By the way, if you're listening to us for the first time on X, we want to welcome you and continue checking the show out. If you need to catch up on archives, you can check us out on Rumble and YouTube.
Most weeks.
Yeah, most weeks. Earth Radio Network on Rumble, YouTube. You can catch up on shows you haven't listened to, but welcome all new viewers, listeners, stuff like that. Brooks, how do you stop saying viewers, listeners, when you do terrestrial radio forever? Because most people are viewing you. They're not listeners anymore. They're viewers.
Yeah, well, they're friends. What we want them to do is share us with their friends.
That's a great way to put it too, my friend. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, so I do want to mention Scotty Hare was thinking about joining us, but he can't tonight. But he is very close. Longtime listeners who actually know who Scotty Hare is. Very important part of the show, and he's going to be joining us again very, very soon. Adam Earth is still he's staying status quo right now and all that, and
We
hopefully we'll
pray
get
for
Adam
both
on.
of them and in their return. They're
Yeah.
both great people.
Absolutely, Adam Earth is a salty person. Scotty Hare is a huge part of this talk show. Always has been, always will be. So Scotty, pretty please with sugar on top. Get the fuck back on. If plain simple, that means we love you and we want you to come back on. I know, Chad. That was Scott. He just called in. Brooks, we of course are all over the place all the time. We're gonna hammer down a date for Brooks to come here
Live in studio.
to Jacksonville, Florida, and be in studio.
Looks like it's going to be the 23rd of May if we can work it out.
There you go.
I think in private, Brooks, let's talk about, because we don't want to talk about the hookers.
Okay.
No, but in private, we'll talk. Keith came up with a good idea today, actually, while we were in church. He came up with a good idea about how we're going to get you here, which makes sense to me. So, I mean, as long as you're cool with it, either way, you're going first class. So, don't worry about it.
We
Sounds
just
like
want to
fun.
make it convenient for you, and I'll leave it at that, and Chad and you will talk about it.
Yeah, it's your idea. You hammer it out with Brooks. You got his number.
I do.
Yeah.
I do have Brooks's number. I'll be happy to chat with Brooks. I actually got Monday off. Monday's I guess an extended Easter issue. I guess technically it's a weather day. With all this climate change of extinction, we didn't have any storms. Did we have any hurricanes this year
Fuck no.
that hit the U.S.?
No.
Not one. I mean, not in the Gulf of Mexico, not in the Panhandle, not in Texas, not in the Cape.
Well, that's due to man-made global cooling.
They'll probably sue Trump for no hurricanes.
Yeah.
You're messing up the climate. We had no hurricanes this year.
Brooks, didn't it start? I'm not confused about this. Didn't it start with the whole globalist the whole globalist agenda with that thing? Didn't it start with global cooling? Then that wasn't working, and they went with global warming, and then it was man-made. Didn't it start though with global cooling in the first place?
I did. The data was pointing toward a global cooling trend. And then that wasn't really getting people's attention. So they went to global warming. And then it kind of snowed on some of the days where they were going to have the global warming conferences. So now they can talk about
So then they changed the
Climate
term the
change.
third time to climate change, where they're covered no matter which way it's trending.
Believe us this time, and forget about Al Gore and his Oscar.
And please send us more money.
Yes.
Yes. Gosh.
You know that documentary in A Convenient Lie, whatever it was called, by Al Gore. it got a fucking Oscar. All this, and we were supposed to be underwater, Brooks, on the eastern seaboard. We're like 5 years late.
Yeah, in 2000 we were supposed to be underwater.
Yeah, I think it even goes back probably
2020 there wasn't going to be any polar ice at all.
further. Right. Exactly.
Unless, of course, we elected Democrats, then everything would return to normal.
Everything would be fine.
I don't see that happening. Midterms are coming up. You know, you got to kind of sift through it and the polls and all this. And
Well, they're still talking about it now. They're still saying, oh, if Democrats can take the midterms, they'll immediately impeach Trump and they'll start taking apart his cabinet one by one.
Yeah.
That's our platform. That's what we're going to run for. And they honestly think they can win on that platform.
Delusional.
Who are you going to replace him with? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as we take Trump out in his cabinet, that's all that matters.
Make
We need to
believe.
stop whatever he's doing, right? And I just don't see it. I've been watching, I've been paying more attention in the last 4 to 6 weeks, and all of the images of Trump on every article on the internet is always a negative, adverse picture of him.
Yeah, sure.
You know, there's never any favorable picture or title. I mean, and the
Well,
idea
if
is,
you go to the source material,
Yeah.
chances are they're pulling their information from Apple TV News. Apple TV News is completely anti-Trump, and they feed, according to the stats that I've seen, they feed 46% of all the news stories in this country.
wow,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and you know, Google is at the top of the list of the perpetrators of the narrative. If you put in, I don't care what you're searching for. I don't care if you're searching for, you know, how to change a tire. Google is going to select the content for you. You're
Yeah.
not going to be able to choose among other providers. You're not going to be able to choose. It's going to be decided for you. The first 30 or 40 pages of information are going to be what Google wants you to hear. And that is swaying about 6% of the electorate.
right?
Absolutely.
I'm not surprised it's not 16 or 26%. I mean, just in the people that I bump elbows with, you know, I can tell where they get their news feed based off of the conversations they start with me. And professionally, I stay pretty independent, middle of the road. And in part because I want to be a safe place for people to express their ideas. But what I never see is on these issues, they keep talking about, oh, Trump's poll numbers are plummeting. And maybe they're 1 or 2 points down on this particular poll, this particular week or whatever the issue. But consistently, he's very strong within his core. And they never talk about what the approval rating of Congress is or the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
They only want to talk about, you know, whatever they can to make Trump look bad, as though, you know, if Trump, I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, a lot of people are just simply not happy. There are a lot of people that are happy, but there are a lot of people that aren't happy. And so just because they may not be pro-war in Iran, you know, maybe they're swayed by Apple News or whatever the issue is, that doesn't mean they're about ready to put, you know, Cory Booker or Gavin Newsom in the White House. Those things don't match up.
There's a difference also. You're making a great point, Keith. I'm just chiming in. All right, I'm done. No, but you're making a great point. I'm just saying, it goes back to people are wired a certain way, but the I don't want to say the majority. In my view, the population of this country, let's just, you know, stay here with this country, whether they're awake to what we are awake to on this show as a whole, or they're not, there's a middle road that has been happening, not just because of the 2020 election being stolen. There's a middle road that's been forming for a long time where people are like, you know what? The TV's fucking lying to me.
Amen.
Yeah.
You know, and so they're realizing that. And so there's a lot of different things that go into it. A lot. I think there's a lot of people who watch Butler, Pennsylvania happen, and they were like, they fucking tried to kill him. You know, they're like, no, don't tell me about this Crooks character. Brooks, I'm sorry. This Crooks character that just disappeared off the planet. We don't know any information about him. People, they did Butler, and people were like, they did Butler. They tried to kill him. People, there's this middle of the road thing. You see where I'm going here?
Sure, people are convinced there is a they.
Yeah.
They have a general idea who they is.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing, in my opinion. People silently waking up, and then they stumble upon a show like X Squared Radio, Brooks, or they stumble upon this show Earth, and they're like, those crazy, kooky, batshit conspiracy theorists might be right.
Well, we are very right.
Yeah.
And we just got to, we're being proven right so many times, and we're going to probably run out of conspiracy theories here.
And we don't want you creating more there, the global syndicate. Stop it.
Well, and what I would say, what I think, piggybacking on what Chad said here, that it's a wonderful thing is, I like that our younger people, 20s, mid-20s, late 20s, 30s, mid-30s, or maybe 40s or whatever, they have now seen a very, very clear difference between how to run the country. And,
Big time.
and if you like what's occurred in the second half of Obama's administration, and Biden's administration, God bless you, right? Or if you like Trump's first term or second term, but they've seen the difference. Yeah, they have, and they may say, hey, I don't like the Republicans because they are, I don't know, whatever they may say. But the issue is, like we said here, who's going to drop the crime rate, right? Who's going to cut the corruption? Who's going to try to make better sense of the budget to prevent you from taxes? And I think they are waking up. Now, you got to remember that they are way behind because a lot of them went to college. A lot of them were indoctrinated. A lot of them, have a lot of kooky, ideas. But, what? There's a very old saying, what is it? Is, if you're early adulthood, if you're not, a left, liberal-leaning person, you don't have a heart. And if you are in your 40s and 50s or 60s and you're not a conservative, then you don't have a brain, right? So, that's this kind of where we're going.
Well, I think one of the greatest things people notice right off the bat, it's just like between night and, day, is every single time Trump has a meeting, whether it's a cabinet meeting or a press conference or whatever, he always says, any questions?
Yeah.
And then he'll, for 45 minutes,
Take them.
field questions.
Yep.
And unless it's a really dumbass question where he says, that's a real dumbass question, next question. Unless it's like that, he answers them in pretty rapid fire.
Right? As opposed to Biden, who asks, which way do I exit? And then get that wrong, So, I don't know.
Well, Keith, he's the only, I've never met Biden, but he's the only person I've ever seen on TV shake hands with an invisible person.
He thought they would put some AI celebrity in the picture next to him. So, if he reached out and shook their hand, that somebody would.
Why not? He's living in virtual reality anyway. So, I mean.
Right.
Those are the people you cannot wake up. When you went through those years of the greatest example, Brooks, of a puppet for the global syndicate. The greatest example was Joe Biden. He was just out. It's like, if you can't wake up to that and realize, wait a minute.
Well, even when he wasn't there, I mean,
This guy
now
can't run the country.
Tulsi Gabbard is referring, I think it's 6 people, which includes Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and others, Susan Rice, for using the auto pen to sign pardons and legislation and appropriations for them and their friends. That's crazy.
It is.
It's the ultimate puppet.
Wouldn't you think in the White House there would be some process, some accountability issue for the use of the auto pen? You know, like when was Biden briefed and made a determination? You know, what was the meaning of that? You know, who actually, loaded
Oh, for the
it?
auto pen?
Yeah.
Well, the auto pen is used for letters to Boy Scouts who write the president and, say something about themselves. They use the auto pen to sign like a postcard or something.
Right. A Christmas card.
Right. Something like that. You don't use it for official business.
Right. Right. The idea is you get at a desk and you have a press conference and you have your cabinet there and people involved and you sign the legislation and then you move on, as opposed to being, on the, the Jersey Shore or Delaware Shore or wherever you are, and
Jersey Shore.
and have zero. Biden's most telling statement when he was asked by somebody about the pardons, he says, well, I may not have known about every one of them, but every one that was signed, I would have approved. Just right out saying that he had no idea what his signature was being used for.
Yeah. But, well, hey, that's honesty.
He is. Right? I agree with that. So.
Total
crazy.
honesty. Hey, let's do my real quick taking a fucking left turn thing.
Okay.
All right, where are we going now?
Maybe people they're like, Chad, you fucking piss me off when you do this, and then other people are like, yes, I don't know, I don't care, I don't know, and I don't care.
We're going to talk about Eddie and the Cruisers. I'm teasing. See, I threw one into you.
Eddie and the Cruisers. You know what? I'm going to write that the fuck down because that's a great fucking movie.
We were laughing earlier, Brooks, about our super chat friend, and I told Chad that with all sincerity, I think we have a great group of individuals. We were talking about a conversation he was having with Amy earlier this week.
Yeah, in the Super Friends chat.
Right, in the Super Friends chat. And the idea is that, we can have discussions. We don't all agree on everything all the time, but we got some pretty independent, smart people that are pretty aware, and we can bounce ideas off and, and think and reflect on that. And there's a line in Eddie and the Cruisers where they're in a little bit of an argument, and one of the keyboard player, I think, says, "Well, what do you expect? We're just some guys from Jersey, And that's what I'm saying is, for us to be able to have the conversations that we have in that Super Friends chat, and we're just some random group of people, from different parts that that have been put together. And I was just giving Chad and Scotty kudos for assembling that group. And I really do hope, and I do, whether or not it's in the fall, whenever it gets to, and I don't know what a central location is, but we need to find a central location, and we need to pick a weekend, maybe a long weekend, where all 8 of us can get around a round table and cook some hamburgers and some hot dogs.
Oh,
and,
holy shit, that would be awesome.
and have a couple of Heinekens and see each other face to face.
A couple?
Yeah, and
that would
shake
be
each other's
awesome.
hand. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, we'll do the super roundtables first, but getting everyone together, holy shit, that is I haven't even thought about that, Brooks. Yeah, central location. Yeah. So let's see. Amy's in Virginia. You're in
Hickory, North Carolina. That's a central location.
Okay, but you got to remember Holland's in Oklahoma. Scott Hare's up. Everyone's in the northeast other than Holland. He's just Scotty's up in. He's behind enemy lines in Connecticut.
Well, we can work this out. You know,
I think it should. Well, where's Ian?
isn't he in Tennessee? Or
Yeah,
Kentucky?
Ian's
No, he's in Montana.
Ian's in
Oh, he
Montana.
is.
That's right. So it's Ian and Holland that are the fucking problem.
Well, you
with
know,
the
you can
central
get on a
locations.
plane, and so their plane ride might be an extra hour or two. You know, but
I'm just making a joke, but
I know.
those guys are the furthest away from a central location. So I mean, maybe Brooks is right. Hickory, North Carolina.
maybe that sounds like a winner there.
Or were you joking with me, Brooks?
Well, then I don't have to drive anywhere.
I know. see?
Ah,
He's like, Hickory's great, guys.
no, I love Hickory. Let's don't pick the middle of the summer or the middle of the winter. Let's pick spring or fall. Gorgeous weather out there.
Oh yeah. North Carolina basketball camp. One of the greatest times I ever had. Yep. Was North Carolina basketball camp. It was crazy, Brooks, and this isn't what I was going to bring up to piss people off about. But North Carolina basketball camp, what was I? Oh, I was a sophomore.
I was going to say 14, but
Yeah, I was 14, and we had moved to Orlando, and then moved back. So I did my freshman year of high school in Orlando, Dr. Phillips High School. Shout out to Dr. Phillips. I don't know.
they have good wrestlers because my son wrestled guys from
Dr. Phillips, yeah. But so we moved back, and I had went to Catholic grade school here in Jacksonville, Florida, and so Bishop Kenny High School was where they put me in. So that summer, long story short, before the school year started, if you wanted to play basketball for BK, for Bishop Kenny, you had to go to North Carolina basketball camp with Bishop
How about
Kenny.
that?
Bishop Kenny went to it was somewhere in North Carolina in the mountains, Brooks, and there's these we stayed in whatever the bungalows, but there was everything was open air. It was just everything was screened in. These wooden things with bunk beds and everything screened in. And
Camp.
we're
Summer
brushing our
camp.
teeth from the mountain water, from the stream, this type of shit. There's a main house where the cooking's going on, but you're sleeping out in the woods basically. But then we go to this hot ass gym twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon.
An open air gym. I've seen lots of these and lots of these camps.
Crazy. But I knew driving there was this caravan, all these kids and the adults that were with us because we weren't actually driving there. And I realized this is private school. This is private high school. And I realized this dude, I forget his first name, but his last name is Haddad. I realized his dad is the coach of Jacksonville University basketball.
Ah,
I realized this, and this guy ain't if it's real, he's not gonna make this fucking team. And I realized all these other people, their parents were donors to Bishop Kenny. And I realized my parents don't have the dough to be donors to Bishop Kenny. So I was like, and then Dougie over here is in the same boat as I am. We're the two who aren't going to fucking make the team. So I played my ass off in North Carolina basketball camp. And Coach Lou Pereira, never forget it, we did basketball camp. I kicked ass. Dude, I was the best fucking player there. Okay, plain and simple. When we get back and we do tryouts in November,
yeah.
Coach Pereira had to cut me
Why?
because my parents don't
Donate 10 more grand
gotcha.
for you.
and he had
You're not in the donor class.
yeah, he had fucking tears in his eyes when he cut me and Dougie. I knew the numbers right away. You know, I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm like, oh yeah. So all I can do is play my ass off. But what Coach Pereira did is fucking awesome. He called his one of his best friends, Coach Drumright, the head coach of Mandarin, of varsity at Mandarin, and said, I have this guy. And so Coach Pereira talked to my parents that night when they picked me up after he fucking cut me, and he said, I just called Drumright if you guys want to transfer him to Mandarin. And so what happened is he pulled strings and told Drumright, listen, this kid can play, but I can't fucking hire, I can't put him on the team because of the donor shit. So I went to a 5A public high school, Mandarin, instead of private school, and had a air quotes tryout, Brooks. And Drumright put me on the team, and then I started playing beach volleyball and quit. But where's the story there? Because I didn't make the Bishop Kenny team because my parents didn't have the dough, and that goes a long way for a lot of situations.
It's not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah.
It's who you do.
Exactly.
Right? No, that's a shame.
It worked out. It worked out. I got to piss a lot of. Listen, I ended up playing basketball with Sam Coward, who ended up playing for the Buffalo Bills, and playing basketball at Mandarin with Sam Coward and he played for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Right.
It was an interesting experience. And I'll never forget Coach Drumright when I called him on the phone and told him that I was going to start playing. I'm playing pro beach volleyball. Here I'm 16, and he's like, "So you're quitting the team to play beach volleyball?" Like, yes, Coach. But I don't think I told him, but I was like, "But Coach, I think I did." It's like you can't pay me to play high school basketball, but I can get paid. I can get paid. But I thank you guys for letting me get that off my chest, because it's just been sitting there forever. Because Coach Pereira was such a great guy, and literally tears in his eyes when he had to cut me.
That's cool.
Yeah, and went out of his way. I mean, I don't think he did shit for Dougie. I don't know. But, he went out of his way to call Coach Drumright at Mandarin and say, listen, put this guy on. You should put this guy on the team. That's my political, non-political thing tonight, I guess. If you got dough, it gets you some places, and sometimes, no matter how talented you are,
Yeah.
you still gotta have dough.
Yep.
All right, I'm done, Keith. I'll interrupt the show later on.
Well, we talk about DEI hires all the time, and we think of race and that issue, but there's no doubt. And, on some level, when all of those parents got in trouble for, their college entrance, issues of their kids, right? And UCLA and all that issue, I didn't shed a tear, for all of those celebrities and all that issue. As I said, you've been playing, your privilege way too much at the expense of everybody else. And I mean, everybody wants their kids to do well. I get that. I'm not knocking parents for trying to do that, but there's a line, and there's a line. If you're the best basketball player there ought to be a place for you on the team. That's the bottom line. If
Damn straight.
if the issue is if you're going to donate 10 grand to the school and you want your kid to get a uniform and to participate and get a little bit of playing time, okay. You know, I mean, I'm not unrealistic, you know, in the real world there, but you know, but you can take that too far, you know, when you don't make the team. So.
Yeah, damn straight, man. Thanks, Keith, for having my back on that one. But it's the truth, and that's just that is the truth. All right, what I did not mean to sideline with that one. Here's the sideline.
Here's the real sideline to take his show. So,
Well, no, and then I promise I'll shut the fuck up. Okay, and I won't prolong it. It's just because
I'm gonna stop you for just a second and I'm gonna let you go. It is your show.
you
I am really glad that you took the opportunity to get that off of your chest, because I know you've probably held that for 20 or 30 years. And the issue is you don't need to hold on to that. And let's model that for our viewers. Go find you some refrigerator friends that you can have a couple of Heinekens with and get shit off your chest.
a couple,
Yeah.
just a couple.
Just a couple of friends and lots of Heinekens.
Thank you.
There you go.
Don't ever just a couple Heinekens me. But yeah, good, great point. Refrigerator friends. Joby, our pastor, this evening was talking about refrigerator friends, and it goes back to he pointed it out perfectly. And in my mind, it's like, yeah, refrigerator friends who come over and open my refrigerator and say, Chad, you're out of burrata. Fuck you. You can raid my refrigerator for anything, but don't fuck with my burrata. Right? That cheese ain't cheap. But thank you. Yeah, Keith, thank you. And I pinned you for the first time tonight. I'm going to do it again. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
Just because it's coming up on the anniversary and I'm still working on the guest, I might pull it off. Because it's coming up on the anniversary and it actually is basically, holy shit, it is tomorrow. But we still may get him on. Kurt Cobain is in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, was murdered. Okay, back in 1994. So I just wanted to tell you this, Brooks and Keith and our listeners. Dave Grohl, who of course the drummer for Nirvana and frontman for many years now, obviously of the Foo Fighters. He does not like Courtney Love. He's never liked Courtney Love, and he's just getting more and more vocal about Courtney Love. And Courtney recently did an interview with Billy Corrigan, the Magnificent Others, Brooks. Billy Corrigan has his podcast. And Billy started trying to help her out because she just started attacking Dave Grohl. And so Dave, there's been a lot of talk, and I'll shut up after this, but just put it this way. There's been a lot of talk about, her album that came out after Kurt Cobain was no longer with us. There's been a lot of talk about the fact that Kurt actually wrote that album.
Oh, yeah.
And so in this interview, to respond with this whole Courtney Love thing, Dave, what's your favorite song from Courtney's album? I forget what it was called. Live Through This, I think. And Dave said, Teenage Whore, because I know she wrote that one.
Accurate.
He knows she didn't write that album, and without hesitation, Teenage Whore, because I know she wrote that one. So kudos to Dave. Imagine having to be shut up you know, for all these years, period, you can't speak about someone that you absolutely despise because somehow they have power over you when actually you're the lead singer of the fucking Foo Fighters, and she just Kurt filed for divorce. I'll shut up after this. Kurt filed for divorce. If he was not dead before the divorce went through, then
She got nothing.
Exactly. So she got the entire $300 million estate. And she doesn't even have a relationship with her daughter. So her daughter knows that she's shit. Dave knows she's shit.
Money's a motivator.
There you go. If anyone is interested, before I shut up about this, unfortunately, when we have this guest on, it might upset some of you. It might, I don't know, but the names. Well, Dylan Carlson is actually in a Nirvana song that's very famous, called "Come as You Are." Kurt was very aware of this so-called friend, and he wrote about him in the song. And then the lead singer of the Screaming Trees, who's no longer with us. Unfortunately, in this documentary, Brooks, so if we get him on, get you all prepped for it, in this documentary, those two are allegedly the people who hot-shotted Kurt and then dragged his body up out of the house and into the green room above the garage.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. Paid by who, I wonder?
What do the cops always say? Who benefits, and look to the closest relationship. So, work
Well,
your way.
not to change the subject,
No, you can do it because you have to save me.
but tonight Artemis 2 is closer to the moon than it is Earth.
Ooh.
Isn't this interesting? I love this. Brooks, expound upon it. And
Well, Artemis 1.
the toilet's not working well, but go ahead.
Artemis 1 was a pretty simple mission. I put Orion out past the radiation belts, measure the radiation going through, and then bring it back to Earth and splash it down in the water. And it was a success. And they learned enough from that mission to feel confident that Orion could keep astronauts safe going through the Van Allen belts. So Artemis 2 is also a baby step, and that is to put 4 astronauts in Orion, launch it into what's called high Earth orbit. It's about 500 miles above the Earth instead of low Earth orbit, which is around 200. High Earth orbit, and then do an acceleration burn, leave Earth's orbit, and head for the moon. It'll take about 1 3/4 days to get to the moon. And then it will go out past the moon, 40,000 kilometers, use moon's gravity to slingshot back around and come back to Earth. Hopefully very little adjustment to that trajectory with the retro rockets or steering mechanisms on the ship, but then bring it all the way back to Earth and splash it down in the water. Now, this is a good baby step because the next mission or the next series of missions is going to be to land astronauts on the moon. And I think what has to happen first, and what I prevailed upon them, I was on Coast to Coast at the end of February, and I told the guys open letter to NASA, you have to cancel Artemis 3. Artemis 3 was very aggressive. They were going to launch Orion and launch Starship. They were going to transfer astronauts from Orion to Starship, land Starship on the moon, take it back off, well, after leaving some equipment on the surface, take it back off, re-rendezvous with Orion and bring Orion back to Earth and splash down. They had not practiced any of that. None of that. Not docking, not landing of Starship, nothing.
Yeah.
So I told them, I think it was February 26th, I said, you need to cancel Artemis 3. And the next day they canceled. So now what we're focused on is what I wrote in the book, Asteroid Mining, The Future of Energy. We're focused on a lunar base on the South Pole. That's what we're going for. And all the equipment that's being built, all the investment that's being made is to get that lunar base built on the South Pole. Well, NASA responds to my challenge by saying, okay, well, let's put up $20 billion and we'll build a base on the moon. Well, listen, I've been around NASA my entire life, and they go through $20 billion in lunch money.
Yeah.
So nothing was going to happen with $20 billion. But a few days later, Elon Musk announces that he's going to take SpaceX public. And you are the one that sent me the ArcVX
Yes.
venture fund.
Yep.
The ArcVX venture fund is going to buy into that IPO.
Yep.
And that IPO, my prediction now here, I'm making it official on Earth Radio. That IPO is going to be the first $1 trillion IPO.
That's why I sent it to you, Brooks. You know, I try to tell a number, just a select few people about it, because I'm like, listen, you can get in here and you can make some dough.
That was $49 to get in, which is not bad. That's about where I got in with Rocket Labs, and I've made almost 2,000% on my investment with Rocket Labs. And Rocket Labs is just a support contractor. You know, they're a public company that you can buy into. And I'm quite surprised that they have lasted this long. I thought they would have been acquired by now, which would have been great for my stock portfolio. But they're hanging in there, and they're making even more progress. Rocket Labs is doing great. RKLBS, if you want to look it up. But ArcVX gives the average guy like you and me the opportunity to buy into a venture fund that's going to buy a chunk of that IPO.
Yep.
And your $49 investment could, I'm not saying it will, but it could go to $500 or even $600. Pretty easy.
Can't beat that.
And it's exciting, you know, to be part of that. Now, when I say it's $1 trillion IPO, that means that SpaceX is going to raise $1 trillion in pure equity. They don't owe a dime to anybody. And they're still making $14 million a launch for NASA and anybody else that wants to put something in space. But $1 trillion is the kind of money we're talking about to build a lunar base. So what does that tell you? It tells me that government is not going to build that base. It's going to be private industry.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's saying, well, why are we doing that? Why are we building a lunar colony? Two reasons. One is the helium-3 that's on the moon, which would make for, if we can figure out how to fuse it and get energy out of it, a 10,000-year fuel supply for Earth without any pollution, without any radiation. That's one reason. The other reason is AI. If we put AI server farms on the moon, you don't have to cool them. They're already sitting at 40 degrees Kelvin. Plenty enough for superconducting compounds that we have. And low gravity, which means the plasma is much easier to handle with low magnetics. And AI can be, all the information can be beamed to Earth, no problem. Whoever controls the moon is going to control Earth.
Well,
That's,
and so
go ahead. Yep.
so
It's so
you
true.
know, my issues, I come up with a couple of real quick off the cuff issues. Is first of all, Brooks, you and I, we've had this discussion before about the Apollo missions, and you think the Apollo missions were legit, and you said that the reason that they were successful is because they had trained pilots.
Yeah, they had people inside flying the machine. That's really the only way they could have landed on the moon. We're still having trouble landing remotely on the moon. But we're going to get better at it because the next missions are going to install GPS satellites around the moon and a GPS locator on the ground. We call it an Omni If you've ever flown airplanes, you know what I'm talking about. The Omni is the 360-degree beacon that is unique to every single airport. So if you want to go to an airport, you dial in that Omni, and your indicator, your Loran on your dashboard, will aim right toward it, and you can fly straight toward it.
Right. So what you're saying is like that movie, Right Stuff. I mean, those
Great movie.
Right, Chuck Yeager and those guys, they were exceptional. They were exceptional pilots.
Oh, they had flown the Eagle thousands of times on Earth's gravity and landed it. So wasn't that hard to do on the moon?
Right. Second issue is, there's been a couple of books and/or movies about this whole issue, and what's intriguing to me about this issue about the colonizing the moon and/or Mars and such is this whole issue that we haven't dealt with in 300 years or more of colonization and jurisdiction and laws.
That's why Space Force is there. I have 3 chapters on it in my book, and one of the reasons it's there is to manage the real estate, both in orbit and on the surface.
Right. Well, the idea is colonization 300 years ago. You had a country that would go to a unclaimed territory and stick a flag in it and say, we're claiming X, right? Now, is that jurisdiction? What happens if a private company goes and sticks a flag in? Is it nationally owned? Is it internationally owned? Is it corporation owned? I think there's a lot of legal issues to be addressed there.
A lot. Yes, absolutely. But I don't think private corporations are about that. I think they're there to get the gold. They're there to get the helium-3. They're there to build the AI farm.
We already
and they're there to dream. That's one of the things about Elon Musk is
nice.
he's a dreamer. I'm a dreamer, but of course I don't have $1 trillion behind me. But if I did, I'd be like Elon Musk.
And so you think the companies don't mind, I'm going to use the word succeeding jurisdiction to a country,
But then we
and then be taxed as long as they're given the autonomy to fulfill their dreams.
If we went to the moon, don't we already own the moon, America? We put our flag there. I'm just saying.
No, the Chinese are kicking our ass on the moon right now. They've got the far side of the moon pretty well scoped out. But
No, Pink Floyd.
No,
has,
I mean,
Pink
if
Floyd
it's a
has the
private
dark
company
side of
that-
the moon.
If a
Another
private-
brick in the wall. Hey, teachers, leave those kids alone.
Yeah, Brooks. I'm just saying. Pink Floyd has the dark side of the moon. They fuck China.
there's no dark side.
I'm just saying the album. I'm making a joke.
I know. The dark side of the moon actually faces us. The bright side of the moon faces away from us. If you really want to get factual.
I'm all about the facts, and I'm out of bubble gum.
But I think if a private
So
company
we
develops
see
a
the
moon,
dark
they
side.
might-
We see the
might-
dark side of the moon. The other side is actually brighter because the sun hits it. Is that what you're saying?
No. The sun hits both sides of the moon. It goes back about 25,000 years ago, an event called the Black Axiom. The Black Axiom is where our solar system passed through a section of the Milky Way galaxy that was a dark cloud of iron dust. And they passed through it pretty quickly. So bodies that rotated very slowly got half coated, and bodies that rotated quickly got an even coating. The Carolina Lynx that we see from space were formed by this collision. These iron balls came into the atmosphere, struck the Earth, flattened the forests, and dug out the Carolina Lakes. And you could see it from space. It just looks like a splatter from space. That's where it occurred. Well, the moon, because it rotates very, very slowly once every 28 days, it got half coated with that black film, which is the side that faces us. So it has an albedo. That's the amount of sun's energy that is reflected off of a body back out into space. It has an albedo of 10. But the other side of the moon didn't get coated. So it's white. And when the sun hits it, it has an albedo of 60.
And that's the reflective property.
Correct.
Yes.
That's the amount of light that reflects back out into space. So the dark side of the moon actually faces Earth.
How about that? And my third question was the International Space Station. You had said that there were these two orbits, one 250 miles and one 500 miles. How?
Keith, keep it down. I got to return this real quick.
Gotcha.
All right. I'll be back, Bruce.
How high up is the International Space Station?
It varies between 230 and 250 miles.
Okay, so low orbit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my understanding, and this is just very generic. I mean, my dad worked for Martin Marietta and for NASA and a few other aerospace companies most of his life. So, I'm reasonably familiar with Skylab and, some issues like that. Is that the whole Challenger space shuttle program was to basically build the International Space Station in orbit to give this kind of staging ground, if not for lack of a better word.
It's a lab. It's where they do a lot of zero gravity experiments. And every time they send an astronaut up or a Falcon rocket, they send experiments that they want to do in the space station. It can't be done here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are biological studies, bees and plants and all kinds of things. But other stuff is like manufacturing studies. One of the things that we learned is that perfect ball bearings can be made in zero gravity.
How about that? As opposed to gravity distorting.
Having to fight gravity. Having to machine them. Yeah.
Yeah, how about that? There you go. It's interesting. There are a lot of things to be looked at. I just think that once you colonize the moon, the issue is do we allow that to be its own new world, or do we corrupt it with all the junk that we have here?
It's a good question. There's a series called For All Mankind.
Right.
It started out, I think it's a Disney series, but you can watch it on Amazon. It's long. It's 5 seasons long, but it is that very story. What would happen if the Russians landed on the moon first? And it grows into this, interplanetary colony that is built on Mars, and the idea of Mars, becoming a colony of Earth or becoming an independent world. And the other series, which is probably even more profound and more of a statement about what our socio-political things would do in space, is called The Expanse. Now, if you want to watch The Expanse, if you're a real stickler for science fiction truth, like are the physics real? Are the ships real? What would really happen if the UN became the ruling body on the Earth? Go watch The Expanse.
Never heard of it. But I think that's intriguing. You. I mean, and I think it's a real situation that maybe you and I not, but maybe our kids, right? They need to be aware of it, and they need to be kind of forming I kind of like the idea of letting it be its own world and not bringing all the junk.
Well, I guarantee you that if a private entity develops the moon, they're going to tell Earth's government to stick it.
I would. Right? I mean, isn't that when you sailed across the ocean on the Mayflower?
That's
told-
exactly what happened,
Right,
boys.
right. You told Europe, stick it. We're going to do it our own way, and we're not. I mean, I just get that that's what that whole thing is about. And I've had this discussion with some of my students occasionally. Is I'm like, who do you think's going to go? Do you think our richest and brightest, and we talked about getting on the basketball team because you had $10,000 to donate to the school? You know, I mean, the privileged are going to go. What's that going to do to the population, you know, here on Earth? You know, I mean, if you take all the brightest scientists and doctors and, you know,
Well, I mean,
engineers.
it happened with the very first exploratory cruise. It happened with the Nina and the Mayflower. When they arrived here and in this country, they were given a compact by the king. Certain real estate was given to them by the king to land on and occupy. So they sailed right to it. Unfortunately, it was a mosquito-infested swamp with muddy water, and they didn't land. They said, let's sail north and see if we can find better conditions.
Plymouth.
And they sailed north to Plymouth Rock, where the water was clean and pure, and the beaches were easy to get on, and the pines were tall. And that was the first defiance of the crown right there.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be interesting. You know, does might make right? And the issue is might on the moon or Mars, is that going to be what determines, are we going to repeat mistakes of early history, or are we going to be able to be a more evolved species and bypass some of that? I don't know.
I'd like to think we're more evolved, but when I look at the distribution of intelligence on the Earth just by IQ, you look at Somalia that has an average IQ of 69. That is a functional retarded person. They can't read, they can't write, they couldn't do rudimentary math. They're basically stimulus and response people.
Illegal Omar?
Yeah.
She's probably at 85. And just
That's why someone with a moderate IQ can become so powerful in Somalia, because everyone else is an inbred moron.
well, and I use this lesson in my classroom with probability and statistics, and it might be a little bit interesting. I'll be short with our listeners, but the IQ, intelligent quotient, is a measure of how quickly you can learn or how easily you can learn. And the test is designed for the average person to have 100. And then you have standard deviations, right? Standard differences. And the first standard deviation, you know, is going to be plus or minus about 68%, 34% on one side, 34% on the other side. And then the next standard deviation, and that's in groups of 15. Mm-hmm. So if you have a IQ of 115 or above, right, you're more intelligent, capable, I guess is a good word, of like, I don't know, whatever it is, you know, 83% or so. If you're two standard deviations, so if you have an IQ of 130, right, out of a class of 100 students, you're in the top 3 or 4, somewhere in that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. If you're at 145, right, you're the top or the second person, right, in that class. And it goes the other way. So if you're at 100 as the average, 85, that means you're in the lowest 35% or so.
Correct.
And if you're at 70, that means that out of a class of 100, you're in the lowest 2 to 3 or so.
Right.
So when you say that the average person in Somalia has an IQ of 68, that means if you take a Somalian and the average Somalian, and you put them in a group of other international people of 100 people, they're probably going to be in the bottom 1 or 2.
Right.
Because of inbreeding. So I just wanted to clarify what we're talking about here. Yet these are all the multimillionaires in Minnesota.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting too, if you, and this is where statistics can go wrong sometimes. If you look at affluence and family size, the more affluent a society gets, the smaller the families they have. Now, you could say, well, people that have a lot of kids have no money, and people that have fewer kids have more money. You could deduce that from that scatter plot. But in actuality, what it probably is intelligent people realize that if you can't feed them, don't breed them. And you should probably have 1 or 2 or 3 kids and pour all of your quality into those 3 kids than having 9 or 12 kids and not being able to do anything for any of them. And so probably the affluence that's scattered against family size is probably a measure of intelligence. Intelligent people become affluent, and intelligent people have smaller families.
Could be. And there's exceptions. I have 7 children, Brooks. And I'll have...
And all of them are girls except 1, right?
No, I have 5 boys and 2 girls.
Okay, so all of them are girls except 5.
Okay, all of them are girls except for 5 of my 7. That's correct. And I will have Easter with 5 of my 7. And I get exactly what you're saying. And there is some absolute truth that I'm a finite person with finite energy and time and resources and, to do that. But I also know that my children benefit from the support of each other, and we talk quite often about the ideas that if you only had 1 or 2 siblings, and they were in Atlanta or Birmingham or Charlotte or someplace, how would you navigate life? And the real world issue of getting support, emotional, psychological, financial, physical, help you move, pick you up from the airport, all kinds of issues. And yeah, if we were all mature, we could all work together and fill that family bond. So I know my IQ is probably in the mid 140s. I've taken multiple tests, to do that. I wouldn't trade my 7 kids for the world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had 4 kids, and the last time I had my IQ tested, which was about 20 years ago, it was 215.
Amazing. So you're in the top.
I've been in Mensa
1%
since I was 24, and in Mensa there are 4 classes. There's the what's called the 98 class. It's 90. You score 98 or higher on exams.
Right. That was me. That's the category I'm in. The
There's
lowest.
the
I'm in the lowest group of that.
There's the 99 class. Then there's the 99.5, and then there's the 99.9, and I'm in the 99.9 class. Everybody hated me when they graded on a curve. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I went to, you guys both just fucking derailed what I was about to say in the first place. What I was about to
We
say.
didn't mean it.
No, I mean, I was about to say, you never talk about your IQ, but fuck, you guys just, I went to a Mensa group meeting.
Wasn't that fun?
I'm not in Mensa, folks, all this. But I did go. I had dinner with, it was Double A and I. He took me to this Mensa group meeting. And I'm not going to say, listen, I was failing 4th grade. And my my Aunt Jenny, I had no idea what the fuck she was doing. They didn't know why I was failing fourth grade, but my Aunt Jenny took me into my bedroom, and we had sex. I'm just kidding. She took me into my bedroom. I'll never forget this. She put a card table down, and she fucking gave me. She's she's qualified to give IQ tests,
IQ test.
right? And she so they wanted to know if Chad was fucking stupid because he's failing fourth grade, and it turns out Chad is not stupid, you know, and I don't know what an IQ test for someone in fourth grade is like versus other IQ tests, but you know, obviously they were very happy that I'm not stupid, you know. Brooks, I'm definitely not a 215, but
Brooks, that's crazy.
let's
That's crazy insane.
let's just say that I'm right there with Keith at the 155 area and 50 thing, 150.
Yeah, that's good.
But I went to this Mensa group, and I guarantee you Keith is higher than, I guarantee you 150.
No, I'm between 140 and 145. I've done it a couple of different times. I'm pretty consistent within one or two.
We love to take tests, and we love to figure problems out. And Mensa tests have time limits on them. So,
Yeah.
like if you get a question, it'll have a question, and next to it'll have the parentheses. It'll say like 55. 55 is the number of seconds the average person in Mensa takes to answer that question. If you find yourself a minute and a half later and you're still scratching your head, you need to go to the next question.
Next
Put
question.
it that
Right.
way.
Oh yeah.
No, but you have, and there's something weird about when you get to that level in Mensa is you stop thinking and it just begins to flow. I don't know how to explain it, but they asked me this question one time. If you had a double beam balance, okay, like a double pan balance, you know what I'm talking about? And you have 24 quarters, but one quarter is heavier than the other 23 quarters. In 3 measurements, how would you definitively find the heavy quarter? And you have 55 seconds. This is a pure intelligence question. You're going to go through this mental process. You're going to divide up these quarters. You're going to put them on the balance, and you're going to try and narrow it down to 1. And almost everybody, well, it also says that it's sitting on a table, which makes sense. But almost everybody forgets the table. So you don't divide the quarters in half. You divide the quarters in thirds, 8, 8, and 8. 8 on the table, 8 on one side, 8 on the other side.
And if they're balanced,
Then it's
then
on the stack on
it's
the
in the
table.
one that's on the table.
So now you're left with a second measurement and 8 quarters. So you
Right.
do 3, 3, and 2.
Gotcha.
If the heavy quarter's on the one on the table, it's one of those. If the heavy quarter's on one of the pans, you can divide it up in thirds again and find the heavy quarter that way.
Right.
But the thing is, you can't think that out. That just has to come to you
Right.
in that 55 seconds.
Right.
That's a typical Mensa question.
Sure. Well, I saw one for Microsoft, and it had 2 rectangles, and it had one rectangle, and then it had a smaller rectangle in the corner, essentially. And it was talking about trying to divide both rectangles in half. And, essentially what you had to do is find the midpoint of both of them and then draw a line between the two, and it worked out. And, but those are, I've been playing chess with my math students.
Love chess.
That's great.
Is the issue is I've come after 18 years of teaching in public high school. I've come to the place that I really reflect on my trade, and I do. And I just had my annual observation this last week, and I think I knocked it out of the park. But nonetheless, and we can talk about that some other time. But the idea is I'm saying, I get the question all the time, when are we going to use this? Why is this important?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that there's a lot of things that a lot of students are really never going to use the specific application of. Now, there are some that are, but a lot of them aren't applications. And I've always gone back in my mind and have been not real successful in trying to explain to them, well, there's critical thinking. That the idea is that you have to look at what you're given and look at what you're asking to solve for, and you're
Right.
going to have to determine the steps needed to get from one to the other.
Right.
Well, that's completely accurate, but not everybody gets that. But the issue is, and all of a sudden I had a chessboard up on my counter, and a couple of the kids that really can't focus very well or have very little interest said, I'd like to play chess. And they all think they're really good. They all suck. They're terrible. They are absolutely terrible. But you know what? After I beat them once or twice, they start to have a little respect. All of a sudden you've earned a little.
And they get better too.
And the idea is that I say, hey, listen, would you be open for me helping you? And it takes a little bit of time. At first they kind of are arrogant, no, I got it, and they may go on, home and practice on, a computer or on their phone or whatever, to do. But then after a while, they're starting to ask to play. They want to challenge me. And I can tell by their moves how well they're critically thinking. And I'm like, you know what, this is a win. If I'm trying to use math that they're really not going to use to build critical thinking, and if I can play chess, chess because they're engaged in that to learn critical thinking, then that's a win. And I'm bold enough and big enough and been around enough and close enough to retirement that I will tell anyone who walks into my classroom that. So,
You want to play some fucking chess?
sometime
Yeah, let's do it.
we'll do.
Holy shit. I didn't say, we always, Brooks and I are biohackers. We figured that out a year and a half ago after knowing each other since 2009.
Chad and I are chess players.
I'm sure Brooks could kick ass in chess.
Oh,
too.
I wouldn't even play Brooks. I'd watch you play Brooks.
I had a kid in a KOA one time, just bug me and bug me and bug me. He's playing chess all the time with people there. Bug me and bug me about playing. So finally I said, okay, we'll sit down and play. I beat him in 4 moves. He was like, his
Brooks,
jaw
I can make you this is you will not beat me in 4 moves.
Did you king?
I'm sure of it.
Hold on, Brooks. Did you king Rooksider, or what did you do in 4 moves?
And the schoolboy checkmate. They're 2 4-move checkmates.
It sounds like a king Rookside.
Well, you move your
Bishop
pawn-
and your queen.
pawn forward and
Yeah.
move your bishop out, then move your queen out, then the bishop's covering
okay.
the slot. And if they don't take the defensive move of moving that pawn forward 1 square, you just go forward and take the pawn and put the king in checkmate.
Right. And there, you can either put the queen out 3 spots, or you can put it all the way out to the rook.
Right.
To the rook is what I'm talking about.
It
Yeah.
depends, and
And they don't expect it. They're expecting a full setup, bring your knights out and,
yeah,
get everything going and bring the rook forward, maybe castle later on.
right,
And they're not expecting 4 moves. They're done.
right. Well, yeah. So that's interesting. But I will tell you this is actually true.
Okay, go ahead. Then I
This is
got
actually true for me, and I'll be real quick. Not knowing it, in Southern California, when I went to elementary school, I was in a public school, but had a Montessori philosophy. In the back of the classroom were blocks and puzzles and erector sets and all kinds of things that were just really engaging to me and probably a lot of boys. And the front of the class had textbooks and reading and those types of things. And the teacher told us that you have your option. You can Go do what you want to, And I was the only kid bold enough to say, screw this. I'm going back to play with the blocks and the puzzles. And I don't want to I don't want to hear about phonics and these types of things. And so it got to be about third grade, second, third grade, when they're testing you. And I was doing horrible. I couldn't read the questions. I couldn't read the directions. And so they put me in learning disabled classes.
Wow.
And I got to my first male teacher, a math teacher, fourth grade. And he started giving us worksheets on multiplication tables. And I did amazing. And I was the best in fourth grade. And so he had me challenge the fifth grade best math students. And we both were up at the board, and he gave us a problem. And I beat the fifth grade person. And Mr. Leatherman was his name, older gentleman. And I thank him for it. And he went and he told the school, he said, this kid is not learning disabled. This kid can't read. And so as soon as I was able to get to where I could read, I went from learning disabled literally within a week to mentally gifted minds. And I was still getting pulled out of my mainstream classes into small group, but I was just with a different group of kids. And then all middle school, I made all A's. All of high school, I made all A's the first 2 years. And then I started noticing girls about my 11th grade year and started making a few B's. And then my senior year, I discovered beer and alcohol, and I made a couple of C's. But I still made it to the Naval Academy and did reasonably well academically there.
That's awesome.
So, but that's a real world story when Chad talks about, hey, where are you in fourth grade? My issue is I don't know where you are fourth grade. You got to give it a little bit more time.
Yeah. But dude, everyone's story is different, And with the fourth grade thing, it's just...
it was a lost time incident.
My Aunt Jenny said that he's just fucking bored.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's failing fourth grade.
He can't pay attention, can't stay focused. He just wanders off. Yeah.
I was just bored with what's going on. It's like, I already know that. But I got a great idea, Brooks. And this is going to fucking piss off our listeners. But when you come into town and do the show live with us, all we're going to do is play chess.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well, Tony, we'll have cameras from the ceiling looking at the boards, and we're just going to play chess and not talk. And the listeners...
2:15 would clean our clocks, Chad. You and I combined couldn't beat Brooks.
Just think of it. Don't even listen, man. I'm talking about how awesome of a show would be for everyone to watch paint dry. We're tuning in tonight. The first time Brooks is in studio, and they're playing chess.
Oh Lord, Brooks, you'd have to spot us your queen. We might have a chance.
That's funny.
Oh, that's amazing. Brooks, I've never think I've ever spoken with anyone with an IQ over about 160.
We were all social retards, I'll tell you that.
I'm going to tell you this. I have struggled in my life with communications and acceptance, and the idea is scratching my head and frustration of, come on, people, you can't be that dumb. You have to be able to understand and make better decisions and communicate and it's, I find it very isolating and lonely. I can only imagine your situation, Brooks. I don't know how you deal with us. With us
morons. When you're young and you're looking for acceptance or friendship or companionship or whatever, it's like you're an alien. It's like Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. You just become an introvert.
Yeah. Well, I will say this is I'm pretty sure my ex-wife probably had an IQ. I'm going to be generous and I'll say of probably 85. And I always thought that it was an issue she wasn't exposed. And I thought that, hey, if, I guided her and all, and, over 20, 21 years or so, boy, and I'm not trying to be negative at all, but there's an old saying that you just can't fix stupid. And it was very frustrating to try to have an intimate relationship with someone that you would sit and watch a Netflix, you'd watch a movie, and you would come away with completely different. We are 3 standard deviations or more, maybe 4 standard deviations apart. And I'm trying to be kind and compassionate. And then at the back of my mind, I'm saying, you stupid bitch. You don't even understand,
Yeah, but when they're hot, what are you going to do? I mean,
oh, my ex-wife was supermodel. She had long legs and blonde hair, and I thought I could fix it, and I was wrong. And it lasted 20 years, and I'm not bitter about it at all. So don't take it that I'm bitter at all. The issue is I have 7 wonderful children, and I have a wonderful life. And she had long legs, and I'm 5'7", and all of my kids are 6 foot, all my boys.
nice.
And so I couldn't. God had a plan. I just don't think that the plan was for us. I'm in a much better place. And Chad and I were talking before the show about being in a good place, being a good citizen, a good human, about what it is. And that was a season, and she bore my children. I wish her well, but I'm in a good spot.
Very well said. Very well said.
And you eat well every Saturday night.
And I eat very well Saturday night. I mean, hey, I hate to tell my mom, man, but and she's funny at 87, because cooking is her thing. I mean, she is a Mississippi-born woman. Cooking is it. And I asked Chad to fix jambalaya, several months ago. And she was kind of curious. She goes, how's this jambalaya? And I go, Mom, I hate to tell you, his jambalaya rocks. I mean, you're good. And she goes, well, I need to try some. So I was really glad that she's kind of, cool with it, But yeah, no, you'll see, Brooks. I'm going to volunteer not only Chad to cook for us Saturday night when you come, but maybe Chad when we get the round table face to face. Maybe Chad can cook for 8 of us or so.
Oh, the whole Super Friends together?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love cooking for the more the merrier.
Yeah. Well,
I
you
cook
do it,
better
you
the
do
more
it for,
people.
You do it for 4 every Saturday. Just double it up.
Yeah. If I'm cooking for my chick or me, or somebody else or whatever, stuff like that, if I'm cooking for us, right? It's great. If I'm just by myself cooking, I'm throwing a dish together real quick and fuck it, I don't give a damn. But when I'm cooking for people, another person or people, oh then that's when I really
The
enjoy
magic
cooking.
hat comes out.
Yeah, that's when the magic happens, Brooks. Right there. Brooks, before we get out of here tonight, I think a damn good show once again.
You know what?
We covered a lot of territory.
We did.
What's that?
And I bet we're not banned tonight. And don't you say anything that's going to get us banned. We're glad to be on X.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Once again, ex-listeners, Hello, thank you so much. Hope you check us out every Saturday night, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. We love all of our YouTube listeners, all of our Rumble listeners, big time. You guys have been with us forever, all that. Spotify to come
There you go.
and all that. But if you're new, a new ex-listener, and you're hearing, it's hard for me to believe, but if you're hearing us for the first time, you also need to check out host Dr. Brooks Agnew's show, X Squared Radio. Brooks, tell them how to listen to your show Sundays and Wednesdays.
Sundays and Wednesdays, it is so easy. You can go to xsquaredradio.com, or you can go to brooksagnew.com and just click on the X Squared Radio link, and you'll be in. Anywhere you want to listen, YouTube, Rumble, X, let's see, where are we at? Twitch, DLive, Foxhole, Truth Refugee. We're on all those media at the same time. Yeah, TalkStream Live, right? And tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing my annual Easter story. So if you've never heard the real Easter story, you need to tune in tomorrow night. I promise you'll enjoy it.
Tomorrow night, at what time? Give them the time.
8 o'clock Eastern time.
8 o'clock Eastern, and the Easter story you got to listen to, folks. You have to.
Promise you'll hear things you've never heard before.
That sounds like I'm intrigued.
Well, you gotta tune the FM there, bro. But what's your name, Keith?
Yeah, Keith.
You gotta tune in. We gotta do it. Brooks, Dr. Brooks Agnew, one of the greatest guests ever the show has ever had, and turned into co-host. And beyond that, a great friend, and it's always great talking to you every Saturday night, Brooks, right here.
I appreciate it so much, you guys.
And I'm talking about the chess show. Seriously, all we're doing is playing chess.
It's going to be a short show.
We're like, all right, here's round 7. Damn it, Brooks. All right. Brooks and Keith and I will be tagging in. All right, you get in there and try.
Have to play both at the same time, I suppose.
Brooks, so X Squared Radio, it's every Sunday and Wednesday night at brooksagnew.com. What are they looking for also?
Well, also, I have 13 books in print. 8 are not national, but Amazon bestsellers. And if you're not a great reader, don't worry about it. I read them for you. They're all available in audio. But you can also find great health and aging products there. Can't mention them all because we're on YouTube. But go there, check it out. I promise there are things that you need, and there's only one place where you can get them at the price that I make them available.
Very, very nice. Lieutenant Temple.
Chad, I appreciate the ability to go to church with you today. I want to finish up on this is Easter weekend. We covered a lot of ground. We opened the show with a prayer. I just want to wish all the listeners a happy Easter, whatever that means for you.
He is risen.
He is risen. Reach out to your friends and family, right? Do that. Take this opportunity. If there are relationships that you know that you desire to be better, be the bigger person, and reach out to those people. Reach out to some of your friends to just tell them, you know what, I appreciate you, and I want you to know that I appreciate you. This earth is very temporary, and the only thing that we take with us is not all that money, but all of that relationship that we have with each other. So God bless.
God bless. Very well said. Very well said, Keith. Say good night to everybody, and we're going to be getting out of here.
Woohoo.
Brooks, of course, stay right there, my man. For our elusive engineer, producer Tony, the Sentinel, Scott Hare, Adam Earth, the great Bob Austin, and Dr. Brooks Agnew, Keith Temple. Brooks, you want to say good night to everybody?
Good night, everyone.
Now, I think Tony changed the colors up, so I'm gonna make a 50-50 guess.
Oh.
Is this the one that's the exit still, or is it still the red one? There you go. Uh-huh. See, that's that 145 working, because he changed the colors, but the button was the same.
We're getting out of here. Everyone have a great night. Happy Easter. Love you, Brooks.